Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It is Charlie here from CJ Digital. I'm going to run you through how I would market an architecture firm. So this is a video mainly for my dad, who's an architect and has been an architect for 30 years, and he has recently taken on a directorship role with his firm. He doesn't necessarily refuse to market the business, but he's been very slow with certain things. And so I'm going to outline how he should be going about it. And so hopefully he'll take some notes. I've been in marketing for a few years and I currently run the marketing for half a dozen businesses around the world, from Tanzania to the UK to Ireland, across many different industries. So let's crack into it. So we'll start with the website. For an architecture firm, it's very visual. People kind of need to try before they buy. And by that, I mean that they have to see what the architects can produce in terms of the end result. This obviously depends if it's a residential or a commercial architecture firm. You've got to display your client work and your portfolio, which can be one and the same sometimes. So with this, again, you've got to have visuals, maybe befores and afters if it's something like a renovation. Might show floor plans and schematics as the before, and then go into what the end result is, what that produced, and maybe even some photos along the way as well. You want to outline how long the project took, were you under budget, what sort of pitfalls you ran into and how you overcame them, because let's face it, nothing in life never goes as it should, and likewise with every single project as well. Basically what this is doing is just showing that would-be clients can see how you handle adversity, how you would handle their projects as well. So what you would do in a perfect world, and in a not so perfect world, again, what you would do, how you would overcome certain things. And again, the end result, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. So your pages on your website probably look something like your main home page, an about page, maybe different architects on there. If you have any receptionists or anything, add them there as well. Just have little bios about everyone as well. It just sort of gives it a more personal feel. I recommend that for all businesses, to be honest. I think that's a good idea. You would then have the different services that you offer. So whether you do both residential and commercial, whether you just do house renovations or whatever else, then you would have a massive portfolio and client work section where you display every single project you've done within reason. Obviously, don't add thousands, but people have got to be able to see that you have done what they're after before, time and time again. And so they're more reassured before they go spend tens of thousands of dollars, pounds, euros, wherever you are, that they're going to get their money's worth. And they can have some trust, have some faith in you as well. Then you might have like a blog section or something where you might invite some interior designers or something to guest write on that blog, so that, once somebody has their new home, their new office building, whatever, they can then style it appropriately if they don't want to go and spend money on an interior designer, but still want to make it look like theirs. And then obviously you'd have a contact section where you might have an inquiry form with a half dozen questions, just so you can sort of start to get an idea of what the client wants before you go and reach out to them. Obviously, on every single page, you'll have call to actions as well. It might just be like, give us a call, or you direct them to that contact page as well. Another thing that I would add all throughout the site as well would be testimonials and reviews. My dad and his firm, I just had a look. They've only got 2 Google reviews, so something's gone wrong there, because I know they've been in business for about 35 years. But anyways, I'll have a chat to him about that on the weekend. But you'll have to include testimonials and reviews everywhere on the website, because again, it's a high value service that you're offering. People are going to be investing a shitload of cash. They've got to be sure that you are the person for the job. And so in order to do that, in order to convey that trust, you need to have testimonials everywhere where people have said nice things about you, that you are good at what you do, that you were on time, on budget, X, Y, and Z, so that the would-be client can have that extra level of trust before getting in touch with you. Next up, again with the website, is SEO. You've got to be hitting those keywords for the different services that you offer, as well as the different areas that you service. So with my dad's firm, I know he services all of Victoria. Not only that, but they've also done a number of different kinds of projects. They used to normally specialize in childcare centres. Now they do schools for kids with disabilities. I know they've done houses. I know they've done renovations. I know they've done hostels, youth centres, that kind of thing. So they've done a load of different kinds of projects. And so they should have a page dedicated to each one that they want to continue offering. But not only that, with the portfolio, each independent project should have some sort of key term in the main title as well. If they do specialize in schools, then it could be a headline like, check out our architecture project for this school. I don't know. That's pretty shit. It's just off the top of my head. But with some research, you would obviously have ideas for good ones. And you'd need to include those keywords in every single page as well to be getting that organic traffic to your site, to be getting the right kind of people to your site. And hopefully, if your site is set up as it should be for directing people to that contact page, to making you a call, then you should start to see the leads flow in quite easily and quite quickly. So the next one is to stake your claim online with claiming your business profiles and adding yourself to all the local directories. So the local directories would be the likes of bark.com, Yellow Pages, that kind of stuff, where they go and list all the businesses, depending on the area, industry, whatever categorizes them. Not only do potential clients go to these directories first to try and find who they want to get in contact with, but these directories have amazing domain authority in terms of backlinks, which feeds into the SEO, and they link directly to your site. What that does, what a backlink is essentially a vote of confidence that one site has in another. And so when Google decides where to rank a website on the search results, they take into account the backlink profile. And so the more backlinks you have, the more high quality those backlinks are, the better chances you have to rank as high as possible in the search results. But not only that, you're covering more ground for people to get in touch with you if they decide to only go to the online directories. Similarly, with the likes of your business profile, so that's your Google business profile, your Bing business profile, and your Apple business profile, every single one, again, will be leading people to your website to get in touch. So Google business profile is important because Google still claims 80% of searches. That's including the likes of social media and everything as well. And so if you're not set up properly on your Google business profile, then you're going to be missing out on 4 out of 5 potential clients. Bing as well doesn't have the same search volume that Google does, obviously, if Google has 80%, but there's still a crap load of searches that occur on Bing too, because people with the likes of like Microsoft laptops and stuff, Bing will be the default browser. It is on mine. Not only that, but there tends to be more decision makers on Bing as well. So the people that would be in charge of making the decisions on commercial projects, there's going to be a higher concentration of them on Bing as opposed to Google. So getting these people will obviously be paramount because, again, they're going to be spending far more money than the residential people. And I mentioned Apple Business Profile before. This is important because a lot of people use Apple Maps. And so in order to be found on Apple Maps, which you might not necessarily need for an architecture firm unless you specifically want people to come in and inquire with you, but it's still good to have anyways, just in case. It might only get you, one person or two every year. But again, that's 1 or 2 people that you wouldn't have got ordinarily if you weren't set up on Apple Maps. And also, it's free to stake your claim. It'll take you 10, 15 minutes. And if you're going to get one person each year from that, that's like 10 grand in your pocket for 10, 15 minutes work. Realistically, pretty good return on investment. Again, we're sticking online, social media. So commercial versus residential. I would say they're quite similar in terms of your approach to social media. So for both of them, I would recommend being on Instagram and Facebook. So you want to be showing the befores and afters, and again, the process. Very similar to your website, except it's obviously far more visual. In the caption, you might include like a step-by-step of what you've been doing, what the person wanted, what the brief was, and then the end result. And you don't have to include all of that into one post. You can break that up as well and also include that in stories, and people will enjoy following along. Sort of how a lot of entrepreneurs and new businesses are going about promoting themselves online these days with a build in public approach. You can take the same approach as well. Every couple of weeks, you might give an update on a specific project. You only have to post a couple of times a week, to be honest. I wouldn't recommend more than that because you're going to run out of content unless you have hardly posted in the 35 years that you've been in business. Where it differentiates, I would say, would be for residential, I would go on to TikTok as well. There's a lower intent audience on TikTok. They're much less likely to get in touch with you. The conversion rate isn't as good, but you can direct people from your TikTok. You can kind of think of it as a big sieve. You'll capture a lot of stuff in that sieve, and then it'll filter down to the higher intent people. And so what I mean by that is that you can get a lot of attention with TikTok and direct them to your Instagram page, where they're much more likely to convert there to your website or just get in touch with you straight from your Instagram page if you link your contact page directly, or if you allow people to get in touch with you via the DMs or whatever. For commercial, I want to recommend TikTok because I'm trying to convey a professional tone. So that's where LinkedIn would come in. Now, for residential, you might go on LinkedIn as well. I don't think there's any harm in doing that, to be honest. You can cross-post between Instagram and LinkedIn. post the same sort of stuff. I guess you're just covering sort of more area with that as well. But with commercial, it's very important because there's professional people that are on LinkedIn. These are the people, again, similar to the people that will find you on Bing. Much more of the decision makers, the people that are going to be pushing along the projects for their companies. And so they're going to be looking at LinkedIn to see what you guys are up to, what you guys have been doing. Again, are you good at your job? That's what it boils down to, realistically. Next up is paid media. So this is a bit of a tricky one. With meta ads, I would only bother with it if you're purely residential, or if you're trying to promote residential services. I guess similar to how you would structure your social media, depending on if you're residential or commercial, I would then utilize paid advertising on those same platforms as well. In your organic content, you just want to be showing what you can do, how you guys are so good at what you do. And then I would be utilizing the paid ads on those same platforms to make an ask for somebody to get in touch with you, somebody to give you a call, whatever. I wouldn't include that in your organic content. Why? Because if you do include in your organic content and you're asking far too often for somebody to complete an action where it's going to benefit you, then you're going to lose the vote of confidence for your audience, and it's going to become very sort of transactional in terms of how you come across. And you don't want that. You want it to be quite personal. You want to be able to speak to the sort of bespoke nature of architecture. When it comes to the likes of the search engines like Google and Bing, you would have to utilize both, absolutely. So the difference between Google and Bing normally is that you get a higher search volume on Google, but on Bing, you get lower cost per click and more decision makers, but you don't have that same volume because, again, as I said before, there's that 80% differentiator. But I would recommend advertising on both because Bing has a higher concentration of the decision makers of companies. So you'd want to be targeting them with quite specific messaging dedicated to being, on time, on budget, all the rest of it. And with Google, similar to Bing, you want to split up your campaigns into two. Your first half is going to be your search campaign when you focus more on volume. And then your second half is going to be your retargeting campaign, but it's going to be more conversion focused. So the first half is just about getting people in the pipeline, getting people interested in your firm, making them aware of who you are and what you do. They're not necessarily going to inquire the first time, and that's okay, especially when it comes to a high value service such as architecture. But you want to set up the retargeting campaign to then get them again, remind them that you're still here, you're still doing this thing. And with those retargeting campaigns, you can make the messaging ultra specific and ultra clear, have quite a high conversion rate and return on ad spend. And with these ads as well, they're scalable. So if you spend $1,000 and you get 50 people that inquire with you, if you were to spend 10,000, you should get 500. Obviously, that's not always how it works, as I spoke about in another video. Sometimes you can plateau, means you have an ad problem. And what I mean by that is that the quality of the ad isn't as good as what you thought it might be. The paid media is absolutely worth it for any business. Next up is reviews. I mentioned before how my dad's firm only has 2 Google reviews and 35 years in business. And I know that they've worked on hundreds and hundreds of projects. I'm going to talk to him on the weekend to hit up every single one of the former clients to leave a review, but that's something that you should be doing as well. So after a job is successfully completed, if you had no argy-bargy with your client and everything went rather smoothly, hit them up a couple of weeks later to be like, how's your new building, how's your new house, are you loving it? They're going to be hopefully like, yeah, it's unreal, thank you so much. Then you ask for a review. Like, oh, that's fantastic. Listen, it'd mean so much if you could leave us reviews just so we can hopefully get more wonderful clients like yourself in the future. If you want, I can just send you over a quick link. It'll take you a minute to fill out the review and it'll mean so much to us. They're going to be like, yeah, sure. You helped me. You gave me my dream home. You made the process of a new office building so smooth and seamless. Of course, I'll take 60 seconds to leave you a review. Again, what that is, harping on the same message here, it's a vote of confidence in your favor. It's a vote of trust. It's going to convey to would-be clients that, again, you can do what you say you can do. So ask for a review. It's not salesy. It's not icky. It's part of business, and like it is part of life, as it turns out. Reviews are everything. Just ask. Next up is partnerships/affiliates. So what this is setting up some sort of agreement with a company in the same industry that offers a different service. So for an architecture firm, you would be looking at construction companies, you'd be looking at construction suppliers. You might even be looking at like independent banks or independent financial institutions that solely deal with home loans, maybe painters, maybe interior designers, maybe roofing companies, maybe all those kinds of different companies that are in the same industry but offer a different service. What you want to set up with these people is an affiliate agreement. So what that is that it would more likely than not be bilateral, so it'll go both ways. And so how it would work is that you would approach this company and you'd be like, listen, we have a few clients that come in every now and then that they're interested in getting their house painted after we design it and is built. Would you be interested in setting up some sort of two-way agreement where if you get any client that might be interested in getting renovations done, then they can hit us up. And what we'll do is we'll refer each other and get each other extra business as well. Now, it could be as simple as that. Or if they're going to be sending you far more clients than you're going to be sending them, then you can sweeten the deal with a bit of cash. So you'd be like, for every person you successfully refer on to us, we'll give you $1,000. And that's a pretty good deal if the people that they're referring onto you are going to spend 10 grand, because you do basically no work to get that extra client, to get that extra money in the bank. And so, as you should, you would give them a reward for taking that sort of action for you. And it would go both ways. If you're going to refer more business onto them than they are to you, then again, they should be offering you some sort of financial incentive as well. Setting up a number of these different agreements across, I named 8 different businesses just there in the same industry. If you set up one with every single one of them, each business might only get you an extra client or two each year, but that's an extra 8 to 16 clients each year in total that you wouldn't have got beforehand. And if they're worth on average 50K, then you've just added $500,000 to $1 million without too much effort. With all this sort of marketing, you've got to kind of think of it as like a spider web. You're the spider in the center, and you've got all these different little branches coming off for you to capture more business. And on that note, a great way to do it that is a bit of an oldie and a goldie that isn't really utilized too much anymore is print media. So that's the likes of posters and flyers and business cards. Again, with these people that you would set up the referral partnerships with, you would leave a bit of print media there as well. That's so that when they do refer someone onto you, they have something physical to give or show the potential client. But also, you go into different cafes, shops, shopping centers, restaurants, whatever, within your city, and you can put posters up, you can leave business cards. It's quite a small cost if you're going to cover so much more area. And what I would do with this print media, not so much with the business cards, but with more like the posters and flyers and stuff, is I would include a QR code directing people to your website. I would also start off with a small test batch of 5 to 10 different kinds of posters and flyers. And why I would do that is that I would have different designs on each one with different QR codes. And then you can test to see which ones get the most attention and then which ones convert the best as well. You can test both things at once with the different designs and the different QR codes. You could even go with different locations as well. So you might only do it in, say, shopping centers and cafes. You see which one converts better as well in terms of foot traffic. But basically with this as well, people might not get in contact straight away, but they're going to become aware of you, which means that they're going to become far more warmer and more receptive to if they come across your stuff at a later date. You're going to be like, oh, they look familiar. Oh yeah, I saw their poster. Let's have a look at their website. Let's have a look at their social media and go from there. Again, they might not be the ones to book with you, but they're going to start talking about you to the mates, to the people that they work with, and you can get more clients that way as well. It's not really a great way of tracking that. You could ask when somebody inquires with you, how did you hear about us? But again, there's not really any reliable way to track that. You just got to have faith that it's working. But what you can track is the different QR codes, because you can see which ones get scanned more often than the others. And then after you finish your test batch, you see which one converted at the best rate, and then you increase your reach, and then you use just that design for when you increase your reach. Another way to potentially get more clients, I hinted at it just then, it's referrals. So if you have a client that's just completed some work with you, what you could do, and I'm not saying you should, I'm saying you could do it, and maybe test it to see if it actually is beneficial, offer some sort of reward for them referring on a friend. So what that would look like, I would imagine, would be perhaps a bit of cash back, a little refund in their pocket, as well as a little discount for their friend to book. Pretty certain banks and stuff do something similar as well, where if you refer a friend and they complete X action in Y amount of days, and they complete an action like deposit £50 and spend 10 in the first 14 days, then they'll get an extra 50 quid in their bank, and so will you. Something similar to that could work. I'm not saying it will, but it could. But I would do everything else that I've mentioned first before going and testing this. And the final approach that I would use as well is content marketing. Content marketing is taking off. So what I mean by that is the likes of blogs and long form videos. So YouTube videos, Spotify podcasts, that kind of stuff as well. Basically, where there's a massive chunk of content for people to consume that you've produced, as they're watching, as they're reading, as they're listening, they're going to be building up an association with you where they start to really take on board what you're saying. And again, it builds that trust, it builds that familiarity. People that spend a couple of hours consuming your content, I can't remember the numbers, but they're far more likely to get in touch with you and convert into a paying client. They become super hot leads without you potentially even realizing it. So as an architecture firm, what I would do with that is, I mentioned a blog before, I would invite other niches to guest write on your blog and for you to perhaps collaborate with them. So offer two different perspectives on a similar topic. You could do the same with YouTube videos and Spotify podcasts as well. With this stuff can be repurposed and chopped up into smaller bits for other parts of social media as well. So if you're going to do a long YouTube video of half an hour where you're having a chat with a painter or something, then you can put that up onto YouTube as a big half-hour block, but also later down the line, you can chop it up into little 30, 60-second snippets and post that as shorts. You can post that on Instagram as reels. You can use it as inspiration to post on LinkedIn. And again, with the blogs, again, you can cut that up as well into LinkedIn posts too. You can even just condense it. So you might put up like a 3,000 word blog and condense it into a 300 word LinkedIn post and link to that blog to get more traffic. Because ordinarily, there's going to be more people that will see your stuff on LinkedIn first. And then if they like what you have to say on that LinkedIn post, then they're going to go to that blog post and read it even further. And again, that builds into SEO and all that other stuff as well. So covered a lot. That is how I would market an architecture firm. If a firm wasn't doing this last year and they started doing all of this stuff from now until the end of this year, I could easily see them getting at least 50 extra inquiries. There's no doubt in my mind that if any business, to be honest, was going to do any of this, they wouldn't become wildly successful. That's what I'm doing with my business. I'm trying to implement all of these things to get the best results that I can for myself. And so I'm not just saying this sort of stuff just to try and get some clicks and some likes. I'm actually doing it myself. That's why I've got it recorded for the past almost hour. It'll be chopped up and you won't see this for an hour, but you get the point. But I will be chopping this up into little bits and repurposing it for other platforms as well. So again, not only am I trying to talk the talk, but I will be walking the walk. If you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. If you want me to do a video based on whatever business you run, then please leave a comment and let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.